Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports, and another Acolyte recap edition of My Mom's Basement. It is I, Jedi Master Fox, along with KenJac, Imperial KenJac,
I think this is
Empire
technically
KenJac.
First Order, so I guess it's
True.
we're out of canon. This is bad costume work by me.
And Clem, just normal ass Clem. Not actually, I shouldn't say normal ass Clem. He's not normal ass Clem. That was enchant Clem.
Oh,
Yeah.
there we go. Oh man, I don't have a trophy or anything to even rock. You guys rocking? I'm not a costume guy. I don't really dress up in costumes all that much.
What the fuck are you talking about in that goddamn Game of Thrones thing, dude? That was awesome. That was very funny.
I saw KenJac arrive in his First Order gear, and I was like, shit. And I honestly went upstairs to look for the knight helmet I wore on Game of Stools this week, and I was just going to turn it backwards, put some silver marker, and just be Smilo Ren. See if I can make that, but I couldn't find the helmet.
Oh, did you just coin that term? Or did you hear that somewhere? Because that's brilliant. Smilo Ren.
I've seen that on Reddit. The Sith guy, whoever he is, Smilo Ren, that's a great name. I figured you guys have heard of it in the Star Wars ethos, the universe you guys live in. I'm shocked I broke that one on the podcast.
That's a good one.
It's a good one. Honestly, I've tried to stay away from some of the Acolyte discourse because, oh my God, is it bad?
Yeah.
I tweeted last night. I mean, like, we'll get into this episode, obviously, but I tweeted something just generally positive about last night's episode, and the comments are a dumpster fire. I had to mute the conversation.
Really? I saw KenJac. You did the same. Did you have the same experience?
Partially. I think a lot of people have the feeling that they dug themselves too deep into a hole. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, now I just have to hate this the rest of the way. No, much like the world of the Jedi, there is no absolutes. There's no black and white. There's some gray. You can be one. Some episodes can be good. Some can be great. And I think, not to be too much of a spoiler, I think this episode was fucking great.
I know that's like the same thought I had last week. I said, I think the ceiling for the Acolyte is pretty good. And I said, I'm okay with that. I think the ceiling for the show it's pretty good. I take that back. I think this week's episode was really good. Like, I had a blast watching it. I thought it was awesome. We texted right afterwards, like, holy shit, that was really good. That was great. Stakes, they were killing off people I didn't think they were going to kill off. I didn't know where it was going to go next. I mean, the only complaint I have about the whole episode is it was a little dark. It was a little battle of Winterfell at times.
Yeah.
But you had the lightsabers to offset that. Whereas in Game of Thrones, I guess you just had a couple flames. So it is what it is. It was the first episode that I feel like I would go back and rewatch of the series.
Yes, or at least some bits and parts of it for sure. It's a tough break for. I mean, our boy, we love our boy Old Balls, but he said he's done with Star Wars after last week's episode. So it's like he's out on Andor, I guess. He's out on Andor season 2, which should be awesome. He's out on the Mandalorian movie, and he missed. I mean, let's be honest. One of the better lightsaber sequences we've seen, like, in a long time, if not ever, because there was actually stakes on both sides and new shit that we haven't seen before, and making stuff better than I think a lot of the criticisms in the past. So someone asked me out. Someone reached out to me. They DM'd me. They're like, Clem, I'm going to be honest. Like, I see a lightsaber fight this week. What are your thoughts on how it's going to be? And I said, honestly, it's going to be a 1 or a 10. There's no in between these days with Star Wars. And it was like, I don't know if a 10 might be a little strong. It was pretty fucking good though. Right. And I think that's something that's the casual fans can get into it. And then again, I was on the Reddit boards and I'm seeing people like, oh, there's styles and this and that. I'm like, all right, that's way too deep for me. You know, these different versions of fighting and shit. I just like the bright swords that cut things in half that are made out of lasers. So I think everyone was happy that actually watched the show, unless you're just going to be so purely like hatred driven, which, hey, that's part of Star Wars lore as well. You're going to hate it. Whatever. It sounds like 3 thumbs up across the board right now from this show. So
oh, definitely. This episode was great. Great stuff. And it was originally written as the second half of last week's episode. The writers said they wrote 4 and 5 as one long episode. And for like Disney Plus reasons, they had to split them up timing wise. That seems stupid. Like, if you have Disney Plus, seems like you should have all of the freedom you want to do anything you want. You could do one episode 30 minutes, the next an hour. It seems like maybe they're listening more to like the algorithm there than giving the writers creative freedom. I don't know if I would have liked it more or less if it was one episode.
I think I would have liked it more, and to the idea of like where they cut off that not this last episode, but the one before that, it did feel like a little bit unnatural, like a forced cliffhanger, if that makes sense. And then this all being combined into almost more of like a shorter movie. I think could have been really cool, especially because like that reveal is so tied into everything that happens going into that last episode. Plus, then episodes are what, night and day or day and night.
Yeah.
I think
Day
like
and night.
that sort of like flip or change from the entire narrative going from, and I'm not gonna spoil anything. A narrative like doing like a pretty much a full 180 or like a Parent Trap sort of switch is like kind of going. It would have been better as one singular swoop, I think, than being cut in two.
What do you think?
I'll be honest, boys. You know me. I see 32 minutes. I'm like, let's cook. That's exactly that's staying right in my wheelhouse for like my attention span. I don't have to worry about the kids for probably about that long. You go 45, 50, and that becomes a 2-part episode for me as well. So I was very happy. And I'm like, they're probably not really going to get a lot done this episode. And then by the end, I'm like, look, shit, I was the Popeyes worker, just exhausted by the end of all that shit.
Also, I'm looking at myself on the little picture here. I don't know why Jedi's never tried the flat brim and the hood. I've never tried the hood over the flat brim, but I kind of like it. I feel like a little bit of like Padme when she had the little hood on in Phantom Menace.
It looked a little bit like Assassin's Creed, a little bit too.
Oh, I like that too. Altair, was that his name? Something like that.
Yeah, good call.
Let's be
look
honest,
at me. I played that first game.
You know those fucking lame-ass Jedi don't allow hats. They're like all the rules from school. No hats, no gum.
No sagging pants in the Jedi temple.
They're probably like the Yankees, no facial hair. No, well, I guess Qui-Gon gets facial hair. But they probably got rules like the Yankees like that.
I heard it's no pubic hair, actually. They do daily checks on that as well. It's really crazy, the Jedi temple.
Unless you're Ki-Adi-Mundi, and then it's, all bets are off because you got to repopulate the planet and all that.
Exactly.
That dude was fucking. KenJac, how did you react, and what did you see about the infamous Wikipedia gate that went on when we changed the birthday?
It's the ultimate, like, they just some of the hardcore Star Wars fan base, like, they really just need to learn how to choose, like, pick their battles. You know what I mean? Where it's like they'll really hyper focus in on the dumbest breach in canon, and I think in this case there's obviously like a little bit more of like a. Well, I'll say like ulterior motive because like if this was Filoni or Lucas, there's like, who gives a shit? I don't care. It doesn't matter. All good. Yeah. But like, pick your battles. There's problems you could save with like with the series for sure. Focus on that. Don't focus on Ki-Adi-Mundi's Wikipedia page. This is a character you guys like all fucking made fun of when Phantom Menace comes out. You say this guy sucks. Who's this goofy ass looking Jedi with a penis for a head? Like you hate this guy until it's like a kind of like a prop you can use for an argument. It's that I don't get.
And now all he does is fuck that penis for a head. He uses it to fuck the, repopulate his entire species. He's a goddamn hero. And yeah, people just hate it, man.
That's a good point. In the world of Star Wars, there's like 8,000 different creatures and aliens and whatnot. Pretty much everyone has the same groin region going on. No one's got like an exterior penis in this, considering how many different aliens there are. It's very intriguing. No like penis heads or anything, like, well, except for Ki-Adi-Mundi, but like, you know what I'm saying.
Did you guys see Jeff Delo's tweet, his quote tweet last night of the person that was like, are you fucking kidding me? You're telling me there were 7 Jedi in the woods and none of them sensed the Sith behind them. And he just posted the picture of everyone meeting with Palpatine.
Yeah.
Like every Jedi you've ever heard of, including Yoda. And none of them, like, they don't have fucking spidey senses. Jedi definitely can sense things. They can sense, I have a bad feeling about this. They can get little things. It's not like the spidey sense where they're like, oh, you're the bad guy, though. Like, that's just not how it works. So and the way, like you said, they'll pick their battles. And in this episode, I saw people upset that Jecki at one point holds her own against a Sith, even though some other Jedi were killed by him right away. And they're higher ranks than her. It's like, oh my God. The fucking 9-year-old Anakin Skywalker blew up a Death Star in the Phantom Menace, not the Death Star. Don't come at
Trade
me.
Federation capital ship.
It was
whatever,
the donut with the fucking munchkin in the middle of it. He blew that up when he was 9 years old, even though starfighters that have been fighting for Naboo for 20 years couldn't do it. Like, come on, guys. It's called plot armor, and everything has it. Everything.
Leia managed to evade Flea in that forest. Anything can happen in the Star Wars universe.
Oh God, just got shivers down my spine. It's like it's like Yoda during Order 66. I just felt my heart like, oh God.
There's so many of these though. It's like you're saying, like there's a million different examples of like Sith just walking among you or bad guys walking among you. Like the fucking clones betray the entirety of everybody. You can be like, oh, it's a microchip and everything. It's a fucking full army of dudes that are programmed in their brain to turn on you, and not a single Jedi notices that either. It's just this exists.
Except Yoda got a little sense of it. He was able to behead the two of them. Ki-Adi-Mundi's dumb penis head. He didn't know what was coming. He turned around, boom, shot.
That dude was just looking to fuck at that point. He's always looking to fuck. He's like, "You need your planet repopulated? I got the head for it," and that's all he's thinking of. He's singing with the right head and the wrong head at the same time. I saw this on Reddit as well. In the 3 weeks of The Acolyte, it has more audience reviews than the 3 seasons of Mandalorian. It's 25,000, where Mando was 17.5. It's just this is the world we live in. I think this is kind of the way to just put this all in, because we talk about this every episode, whether we think the show was good or bad that week. It's like, this is just the way the internet is. You have the crazy fans. Listen, I subscribe to a bunch of different subreddits as well. And it's like the hardest core fans are sometimes the ones who shit on this stuff the most. But you see it in like the Barstool Reddit. It's like, oh, Viva, this guy cares about Barstool. And it's like, but then I see it in every other, if you have a podcast, a TV show, no matter what it is, you have people who love the shit, then the people who love it but like want to hate it, and then the people who really do love it are like scared to speak up. So it's a very odd world we live in. It's the internet. That's just how it's going to be. It's going to get really fucked up when my kids are older, though. Man, God have mercy on their souls.
I know.
Honestly, go nuts.
We need the Mandalorian and Grogu to really hit. That could bring us back to a good place. And if it doesn't hit, it's like, oh God, we're gonna hear the Kathleen Kennedy, the Disney, the ruined, the woke. I don't even want those words in the lexicon. As long as that movie slaps and they give us a great Grogu moment, they'll probably give us a great Luke moment at some point. I would assume he'll be back for that. Ahsoka, all that. As long as that works, I think Star Wars can find balance yet again. But yeah, right now we're in a time of unrest.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Disney's like the offensive line of like the franchise world, where like they get no credit when things go right, but they get all shit on when anything goes wrong at all. You know what I mean?
Well, totally. Yeah, that's Andor. We bring that up all the time.
Mandalorian is good. That's good. Like Star Wars, the animated series, like the new season shit was good. Bad Batch was solid. Like all this stuff that's good, you get zero credit for that. But like a couple of bad episodes of The Acolyte, Disney's done. They destroyed this. It's ruined. It's horrible. It's fucking disgusting. It's over. Like it just makes no sense to me. Like it doesn't all need to be like this, cut down the middle, like black or white thing. There can be good episodes of a show, a bad episode of a show, a good movie, a bad movie. Just how it works.
If you had told me after the first 3 episodes of Andor how much I was going to love the show, I'd call you a flat out liar. I'd be like, no, there's no way. Yeah. It just is. This whole entire universe is based on how both sides are so polar, like you said, kind of the light and the dark, and it really is like a mix of the gray. Which hopefully at some point that will actually be hammered home. I thought that's what the Rise of Skywalker was going to do, but I do think at some point that's going to be how it all shakes out. But we'll see. Whatever.
Skywalker.
Let's get into this episode of The Acolyte. Episode 5, it's titled Night. Osha wakes up in the forest after she was forced thrown. I wouldn't even call that a forced push. She was just like flicked to the side last week. And she stumbles over some dead Jedi right away. I liked when she fell and immediately fell and saw the dead body. Gave me some Indiana Jones vibes, actually, when he like falls and sees Alfred Molina's dead face. But the lightsaber's humming in the distance too. Very cool. Like, because when she first wakes up and you don't hear anything, I was like, where is everybody? There's fucking a dozen Jedi out here, a Sith. Are they not fighting? And then you realize it's a little further away. I thought that was a cool sound moment. She spots the fight. The Sith character's taken on a ton of Jedi at once. He uses cortosis metal. His helmet and his wrists are made of cortosis, which is like a Knights of the Old Republic video game thing that they've brought into comics. I think it's used in the cartoons at some point as well. It disables lightsabers. And that's like such a cool deep cut thing where I see something like that. And I'm like, you're telling me they did the research on fucking cortosis, but you don't think they knew Ki-Adi-Mundi's birthday? Don't even get me started on that. But he double skewers a couple Jedi, and then we don't like see it on screen, but it's implied that he beheads them after that. Fucking metal as shit. What an opening to this show. And this is the clip that I tweeted where I'm like, oh God, I have to tweet this clip for the people that are missing out on The Acolyte that gave up after an episode or two. I understand it. It's not everybody's show, but you got to understand this is what they're doing now.
We got Jedi kebabs. I fucking love Jedi kebabs. I'm also like, the more Star Wars has these things like these series that piss me off, I am feeling my soul getting darker and darker. And you know me, Bob, like look at the Thanos glove and the Magneto helmet. I kind of realize I'm a big villain guy. I'm like, this guy can cook. He's literally just cooking Jedi alive right in front of us. It's incredible. I loved everything about this entire sequence.
Mm-hmm. The skewer move was sick. what do you call it? The detaching, and that's a little bit later on. That movie was sick. A couple other ones I think are really cool.
Lightsabers.
Yeah, I called him the anti-Nancy Reagan. His head is so bad it makes the lightsabers go limp. Just,
the throat woat.
Yeah, the throat woat. Worst head alive from the Sith. I thought that whole fight sequence was sick. And like for me, after watching like that first episode, I thought that first fight with Trinity was kind of whack. And not to say that like the other lightsaber fights in like Ahsoka and all those other ones are like world-bendingly amazing, cool or anything like that. I was just like, everyone, they hyped it up big time. Hey, fight choreography's back. It's great. It's amazing. And I kind of thought it's been like sort of like meh so far. I think the lightsaber fights in this were way cooler. I think the way that they like kind of pan through or kind of like move through the trees and like parts of it are getting blocked off, so like you can't see the full thing. I thought that was cool as well. So that I'm a big fan of that fight.
We've gotten into a weird place with lightsaber choreography as well, where I don't know what the fans necessarily want at this point.
A duel of the fates is what they want. They always want it. 24.
I think they probably do, yeah, because every criticism of any lightsaber fight in the Disney era is usually it looks too slow. And it's like the best lightsaber fights are the Luke and Vader ones, and there's almost no moments of them where they're fast. Like it's all about, I mean, even in A New Hope, like I saw someone tweet like the remade CGI version of Vader versus Anakin or Vader versus Obi-Wan in A New Hope, and they were like, "This is the one we deserved in A New Hope." It's like deserved. What are you talking about? That first A New Hope one is fine. It's perfect for what it is. They're old men at that point. They don't need to be flipping around like a pinball, like Yoda, Attack of the Clones. So it's like, yeah, like I feel like the style in the sequel trilogy, whether you like the movies or not, the lightsaber fighting style, I thought achieved that perfect balance where it was slow. Like the one in Force Awakens, especially, I think is great between Rey and Kylo on Starkiller Base at the end, even with Finn involved. It's like a triple threat match or a handicap match. I think that is like the perfect mix of the story still matters in the lightsaber fight. They're doing some cool fucking spins or whatever, but I don't need everything to be flips. And I guess this is the High Republic era, so they should be better, but I thought this was totally fine. I saw people calling this too slow. It was not too slow for me.
I don't understand what they mean by the deserve with Obi-Wan versus Vader. It's like, if you look back at that now, it's like the Patrick Ewing posting up Hakeem Olajuwon with the magic and the Raptors. It's two washed up dudes. All Obi-Wan is doing is just burning the time, burning the clock down, and then tanks the end of the fight so Luke can see him die, and it's the sacrifice to, inspire Luke to fight the fucking Empire. That's all it is. It's nothing. Even
correct. Like he's literally stalling for time. He's not like let me show off my new fucking tricks.
He goes high low. That's his trick. The whole high low trick is Obi-Wan's biggest trick. He pulls out of his fucking room.
90-year-old man versus like a literal robot. And I don't know, like robots just in my head aren't known for like their acrobatics. I'm thinking like Boston Dynamics, like the dogs that can barely walk. That's basically Vader at the end of his period.
You know what that lightsaber fight was great for? Holy fuck, what are those things? Those things are awesome. They're lightsabers, and they're fighting each other. It's the one that Luke was using on the ship. He has one too, and it's fucking awesome. And you can kill a guy and apparently disintegrate him because we didn't know what the fuck had happened there, right?
Yep.
And you know what else is awesome? And I'm not the first person to say this. In fact, I'm probably the 10 millionth person to say this. The lightsaber humming sound is so awesome that this episode, with all of the travesty and death and like bad stuff that went down later on, I could fall asleep to it every night, and it's like perfect white noise. That lightsaber hum, oh my God, what a comfort noise that is.
I was going to say, do they have Star Wars ASMR videos? I guarantee you, not only do they have them, people jerk off to them every single day.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
KenJac, are you one of those people? Be honest.
Twi'lek, ASMR. Twi'lek's made that's like their biggest export, I would imagine, in the Star Wars world is like OnlyFans and ASMR.
What about that bitch from Return of the Jedi that George added in the 90s with the super long lips? Do you think she she's super far away from her mic, but she's also super close?
I used to know her name from the Jizz Band.
Yeah.
Just bad.
That song.
The Galactic Jizz Wailers. Yeah, that's the band you want to go see. And now, again, that's the thing where people are like, give it back to George Lucas. Like, this is the guy. That's like everyone's like, George Lucas, he's the only one that did this right. It's like this guy made the Galactic
Everyone's like, you're
Jizz
shitting
Wailers.
on George Lucas's original creations. You know who else shit on George Lucas's original creations? George Lucas.
George Lucas, dude. It's not. Oh, Cy Snoodles, by the way, was the same.
Yes, Cy
Snoodles.
Snoodles.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. Hey, listen, the 25th anniversary of The Great Phantom Menace just came out, and that movie was beloved universally when it came out. The great George Lucas's masterpiece right there.
He's a goofball. He's a big goofball. Making movies for kids. I don't know why people think he's like fucking, Coppola or some weird shit.
And that he never retconned anything. Like, have you heard of metachlorians? Like, don't even get me started. Don't even
oh, God. We're bringing up some real painful words this episode that are just daggers to the heart.
and a good episode, too. This is not the Acolyte's fault. This is your fault, not you, the listener. I'm sure you, the listener, you're probably fine. Osha shoots him before he lands the kill shot on Yord, but Yord now has a lightsaber wound through the thigh. And in this moment, I was like, oh, damn, why couldn't he kill Yord? He was so annoying. Oh, if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes. Osha runs away. He throws his lightsaber at her and like video game style, like Battlefront 2 style, when you could throw a lightsaber and it almost does the Captain America shield thing with physics where they don't make sense, but it's following your target. Slicing trees down and shit. Soul is there to cut it off. Says, get the civilian to the ship. Yord and her start running off and the title card hits. And such a cool opening for the scene, obviously. The rest of the episode, I was kind of thinking, was that the big lightsaber fight? Is that it? No, it just keeps going. Like, the rest of the episode is a lightsaber fight. Someone also tweeted me, and they were like, the lightsaber fight this week was cool, but everything else sucked again. And all of the replies to him were like, so you like 95% of the episode. That's what you're telling me.
I hated the names in the credits. They were fucking so lame.
Soul and the Sith begin to fight. Meanwhile, May and Jackie are in a fight of their own by Kelnaka's hut. They're in more of a fist fight. Soul and the Sith character in a lightsaber fight. Jackie's able to slap some cuffs on her and get Kelnaka's saber back. Meanwhile, Soul and the Sith guy start having this interesting back and forth. Soul's like, what kind of master hides his face from his pupil? And the Sith guy says, you tell me. And disappears also. I like this about, we could fucking say it. It's Khmer. Spoilers. It's fucking Khmer. I like this about, I don't want to keep calling him the Sith guy. Khmer is kind of like a ghost in how he like disappears, reappears, floats down. That's something we haven't seen from a Sith before. And it's a good thing to differentiate the guy from, I mean, let's face it, he looks a lot like Kylo Ren. They did a good job with the helmet, making him look a little different. The smile is like a good thing. Smilo Ren, great name. And also the sleeveless Sith look we haven't seen before. But at this point, in Star Wars, it is tough to make a Sith character that wears a Darth Vader looking helmet. That's not just like, is he Darth Vader? No. Is he Kylo Ren? No. Is he this guy? No. Like Darth Raven. You have to make it super different. They did a good job with it. He doesn't feel like a ripoff of anyone.
He owns it. He owns it.
Yeah.
And like you said, I didn't know what he was working with under those clothes. I was like, oh shit, this guy is fucking jacked. I was really impressed with him.
They put him in real baggy stuff to make him look like a lanky dude. And then, he looks like a friggin' martial artist underneath there.
By the way, we all knew that was the guy, right? KenJac, you?
Yeah. Which at least they revealed it in episode 5, and it wasn't like the finale reveal.
Yes, exactly. That's a smart one because everyone obviously, I think, was on top of that. And beyond even like looking into Reddit, like I didn't look at any of the theories or anything. Like within an episode or like an episode going into this last one, episode 4, it's like it's obviously that guy, Khmer or whatever. Yeah. I do like that you mentioned the disappearing thing. He's kind of like the waiter from Mr. Deeds, like the butler. Like he just like they'd be fighting him and all of a sudden he's just gone and then he's right behind you. He's like right there. He just disappears and reappears. Very cool.
And the way they shot, I think it was a little later on in the episode, but May is running away and he is like, they shoot it where it's like his face takes up the whole screen for a second. He's like, you are going to betray me. It almost felt like the way they would cut to like Darth Vader and the TIE fighter in the trench run or something, but totally different. And it's him talking to her and getting in her head, which they also talk about where it's like Yord and Osha are saying, oh, he's like getting in the Jedi heads. And Osha's like, my mother was able to do that. Do we think Khmer is part witch? Do we think he was another witch kid created by the Force, or just maybe one of the witches, maybe the Zabrak witch is his master in some way?
I was like, is she trying to, because at that point, I think we hadn't gotten the unmasking. And I'm like, is that one of the witches? I don't know which one had the same kind of body, but it looks like a dude. I was very confused by all that, but I mean, I feel like it just might be a Sith thing. I have no clue though. I'm still figuring out the shit from with the sisters or whatever their names are from the last thing we just watched, the Night Sisters from Andor. I'm still figuring all that shit out right now. So I yield to you guys.
So that was my thought process, was like on Dathomir, they had like that village of the dudes where like that's where like Savage Opress came from. Do you remember the guy that like that what's it called? Darth Maul trains? Like, so maybe their witch village from this version has like a similar thing where like all the women are in their coven here, but then they have like their subservient, since they're like a matriarchy, they have like their subservient like dude class, which are kind of being keeping with this too, I guess, of like those type of warriors too. So maybe
and why does this guy also have such a vendetta against the Jedi and Soul and these four? You know, was it just something where he said, I want a pupil, I want May, so I'll tell her to kill the people that she should have a vendetta against? I don't know. Was it a thing all along where he was a part of burning it down to get May from, but he would have to be so young. He doesn't seem that much older than May and Osha.
That's why he could have the master, or maybe the master is the mom or one of those witches. I don't really know which way it's at. I also have
Zabrak mom was so sus. She has to be involved somehow.
Oh, again, Rob, do you want to get canceled just because she has horns in her head? I mean, I'm not ready to make that claim. I have to also just say this, and it's, you know, we've known this for a few episodes. Like, our boy Saul, I don't want to put him on the sus list, but like some shit went down that night, and we're gonna get the mystery. And Saul's hands might not be completely clean when it's all said and done. I'm completely fine with that. I honestly, if Saul turns Sith, it actually makes my turn to being a Sith fan that much easier.
Well, I was thinking I picked the wrong train this week when we had the conversation after episodes 1 and 2. Are you a Soul guy or a Kelnaka guy? If you had to save one of them or the other, I said Kelnaka right away. I was like, he's a Wookiee. He reminds me of a dog. I love dogs, love my dog. I'm saving Kelnaka. This episode, Soul was so badass. There was that one shot of him with the fucking lightsaber all out, and he was like, he was almost in a Spider-Man pose. It was just like, and he gets into a fucking brawl with the guy later on. I was like, oh, I picked the wrong. I should have been on the Soul train for sure.
He doesn't give a fuck about. They're talking about rules. You get like, oh, you did this, you did that. You know who he is? He's Ethan Hawke from fucking Training Day. He gets the job done. May not be by the book. He's also not like the fucking big bad of the film, obviously, but you know. That's really spin zoning. Like, if you don't love Ethan Hawke in Training Day, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, that mystery I think is going to come to a head pretty soon. You gotta imagine, and I think, but we'll get. I think as we get towards the end of the episode, there's like I have theories. I have a million theories going in my head before, but we can get to those as we get towards the end.
I didn't know you like to get wet, Salt.
Let's get wet.
PCP.
Those theories will be sponsored by Game Time. Shout out Game Time, one of our absolute favorite sponsors in the world. I'm going to be going to Alanis Morissette next week, thanks to Game Time. They gave me tickets to it on the Yak. They were like, hey, we got these tickets on Game Time. They're great seats. I can't wait. You can get tickets to that same show, July 3rd, PNC Arts Center, for $35 right now. Lawn seats. Everyone loves the lawn. Everyone loves the lawn at PNC Arts Center. And thanks to Game Time, the official ticketing of partner of Barstool Sports, you won't have to worry about buying those tickets. They're going to make it fast and easy. You can get tickets to sports, music, comedy, theater events near you. They have flash deals for sudden discounts, zone deals for when you're feeling flexible, and their lowest price guarantee, which means that if you could find the same seats for less anywhere else, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time is the best place for last-minute seats with up to 60% off your favorite events. What are you waiting for? Buy those Alanis Morissette tickets right now. Alanis Morissette, she played God in Dogma, so she kind of has a Kevin Smith nerdy connection there. Kind of fits for the basement. Also for any moms that listen to the basement, I guess.
She also did the anthem at the Stanley
both
Cup
anthems.
Both anthems, yeah. So she's dual citizenship, Canada and America. So I mean, like, if you don't like Alanis Morissette, you don't like yourself, basically, is what I'm trying to tell. Or you're Dave Coulier, who was like, please just like, that was really tough.
Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code MMB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download the Game Time app. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And KenJac is back, and it's like a Super Bowl halftime show. He's got a costume change, a wardrobe change.
By the way, I forgot this from the Disney trip, how hot this thing was. Like within having it for 2 seconds, it's trapped in every bit of moisture on my body.
Also, wearing that in Orlando. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Well, I bought a jacket. You bought a parka. Dave bought, you know, a uniform that looks like it should be illegal to own in a closet.
It's in my closet. It's sitting in my closet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, people that don't remember, the costume you were wearing for the first portion of this podcast was Dave's Disney Boys outfit. You're just keeping it warm for him for when we go back.
Exactly.
I was kind of hoping, I'm not gonna lie, Clem, I was hoping when Jeff said like you won the dozen, what's next? Be like, we're going back to Disney.
Force Dave's hand. Dave was like, guys, I'm so sorry. I have a private jet to catch so I could be on the Celtics parade float. So it was like my brain was just like, what the fuck kind of life does this guy live? I'm just happy to win a trivia tournament.
That was funny. You could see it on the broadcast of him being like, I gotta fucking get out, and Jeff being like, you gotta take a picture with the trophies. Yeah. Back to the Acolyte. Jackie fights the Sith guy at one point because he disappears and then he shows up to fight Jackie. And she loses one of the lightsabers due to the cortosis, and then it reignites as she's like fighting him. And that was a cool moment where they kind of do the Star Warsy thing where they look at it and acknowledge like, dun, 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 and she's got 2 lightsabers to fight him until one gets fucking sliced in half a second later. Then the Sith is gone again. He reappears. He tries to kill May, and Jackie's able to soul Jackie, and Yord are there because Yord and Osha run back. She had the weird feeling, had a bad feeling about this thing. Jackie fucking bashes the helmet. She learned you got to bash it. You can't use a lightsaber against it. We realize it's Khmer, but he kills her instantly. He takes his lightsabers apart and then hits her. Yeah, like boom, boom,
shanks
boom.
her, like literally like a prison shank.
Yes, like backhand shanks her. I am shocked that they killed her. And I mean, 2 seconds later, he kills Yord. Let's get right past that. Snaps his neck, which, like, I thought the shanking was brutal. The snapping of the neck was brutal. I thought Soul was a goner this week because the way he said, I promise you when we get back to safety. The fact that they killed the 2 kids, the 2 trainees, Yord kind of an adult, but I was stunned. They got some balls on this show. Like, now I genuinely don't know who's going to live and survive.
I didn't understand. I saw the 3 holes in her body. I'm like, how the fuck did that happen? It was so fast. I like completely missed it. I didn't know what happened. I'll tell you, man, the don't go ASMR. I could get off to listening to Yord's neck snap. I always appreciate like that guy was the fucking worst.
The worst. I mean, I'm glad he's dead.
Yeah, and to like not even get like the honor and dignity of like a lightsaber death, but you get like again, whenever someone dies in like a physical form or with like a more of like an analog, like a knife or something, you're like, oh, that's such a bitch way to go out. Especially if he was legitimately a Jedi, right? Like he is the capital Jedi
Knight. Yeah, he said he passed the trials and stuff. Yeah,
oh, yeah, Jedi.
This
Knight.
Probably would have been Jackie's trials too. Like people were saying that if they would have survived, Jackie's probably not a Padawan after this. If she fucking stood toe to toe with that Sith, it saved everyone. But you know. If my uncle was a woman, he would be my aunt, right?
If Jackie was higher, if Jackie and Yord are in Jedi heaven, I feel like Jackie is like looked at as a more badass warrior. It's like at least she didn't go out getting her fucking neck snapped and she wasn't a dick.
I mean, Yord, he was off with fucking Osha trying to follow the rules. He's like, nah, the rules, whatever. Like, dude, all your people are at war right now. Like, go have their back.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that I was very happy Yord died. The Yord Horde, I apparently is the name of their group. God, like if you put your fucking like support behind that guy, you know, you kind of deserve to have that happen. I do feel like I do feel like Jackie is oddly one of the big winners of this episode in this series because people are like, man, Jackie was awesome. Like there's going to be like a ground swelling for like Jackie stands that, you know, 90% of Star Wars fans won't even know because they have abandoned the show, you know, after episode 1.
I never had an issue with Jackie, to be honest with you. And the dialogue that came after her death only made her death like hurt more when he was like, Jackie. And the Sith was like, oh, was that its name?
Yeah. Oh, that was dirty.
Yeah. Because she was just a child. And he goes, well, you brought her here.
You brought him to me.
That was 2 mic drops in her. He picked a mic back up to drop it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And that led to like kind of the fight where you see what's his name? Soul kind of like embraces darkness a little bit. You know what I mean? Like
that was badass too.
Yeah,
and I
that was
wanted
cool.
him to kill the guy too when he fucking like grabs him and like he goes to slice him by the neck, and Osha stops him for the kill shot, and it's like, oh, is this your master? Like, this is what your master would do. Says like there's darkness inside of you, and he goes, I've accepted my darkness. What have you done with yours? Another one where I'm like, Kamir is fucking spitting this episode, and the rest of the series. One of the things that I think is a very fair thing to criticize about it, the writing hasn't been the greatest. It's been like a little shallow at times. The writing in this episode, like all of a sudden, I feel like it stepped up a level where I was like, oh shit, this is like good dialogue.
Definitely. I think there was a couple lines which are like layups. Like you mentioned the what do you call it? Like what master hides his face from his pupil. Like on its face, it takes cool. When you think about it for a second, we're like, why would you say that? Like why would you ask that when master hides his face? You know what I mean? You have fucking Clo Plune and all these dudes got masks all over their face too. It's like not a big deal in this world.
Oh yeah,
and
that
like,
guy's dead too. The guy that looked like him.
Yeah. So there's a lot of like these alley-oop kind of things for Kamir to like dunk on them with.
True.
But other than that, I agree that the script is like pretty bad, I would say, through the first like 3-4 episodes. But like this last episode, they definitely, I think there's a lot of like Sith dialogue, which just no matter what, even if it's like kind of chat GPT-ish or not, you kind of get the blood flowing, you know?
One line in this.
Saul went to,
go ahead.
When Saul went to kill him, I have to admit it, guys. I was the Emperor. I was like, do it. I wanted him just to fuck. I was like, let's fucking roll. Let's go to the dark side, meet the master, and let's see how the chips fall as they may.
But that's the fight, right? And that's the whole thing that like they were the what do you call it? May was saying like the master was saying to him, you gotta break the dream, right? And like that's the kind of thing he wants to do to a guy like Saul. He wants to like shatter his illusions about himself.
The Joker, Harvey Dent.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, to bring the Dark Knight back up as we do every week.
Even the smile. There is some Joker in him, right? That dream line was one of the few things that I really liked in the first half of the season for sure.
The one dialogue, the one piece of dialogue that I didn't like in this scene was when Soul is trying to be like, "What are you?" He says, "Like I'm a Sith," and he's like, "Why would you risk discovery?" And he's like, "Well, I did wear a mask." It's like, I don't know, just in the middle of that like intense thing, I was like, I don't know, that was a weird line. But he says he wants a pupil, he wants an acolyte, he just wants the freedom to wield his power the way he wants, which again goes back to the witches didn't have the freedom to wield the power they wanted because the Jedi were kind of being the cops about it. And they get into a straight up brawl.
Big Second Amendment guy.
Yes.
Come and take it. Yeah.
Come and take it.
You want my force? Come and take it, baby.
Kamir and Soul get into this huge brawl, fist fight after Yord dies. It ends with that I've accepted my darkness thing where he stops himself from killing Kamir. And then Osha puts Pip on Kamir's back because you remember the thing with the lights and the Umbra moths, the bugs. When she puts Pip on his back, she's like, I love you, Pip. Goodbye, basically. Now, later on, Basil finds Pip in the forest, so everything's all good. But was this potentially the end of this Pip? Like, she couldn't take an SD card out of the head? That was just like, my droid is now gone forever, and this is the sacrifice he's got to make? If so, like, good on her for being able to part ways with what's basically your pet. I also liked that Basil found him later because they had that little back and forth where he was spraying him with the water. I was like, oh, this could be a little oddball. This is our little Jay and Silent Bob duo of the Acolyte.
Oh, they're animating a fucking series with those two right now for the kids.
Yeah.
When she picked up the thing, did you think it was like a hidden lightsaber for a second? Because like when she picks up the thing, it's like a tube, right? Like she picks up the tube, like
yeah.
And she holds it like this, and I'm like, oh my god, did she hide a lightsaber in this droid? It wasn't obviously, but for a second I was like, that actually would have been pretty cool.
That would have been cool. And then also, I liked Kamir, speaking of holding lightsabers, he holds the lightsaber like a gun to people's head. Like,
that was awesome.
Style. That was fucking cool. Yeah.
Very cool.
I have to admit, like, I'm going to try not to be like the angry, nitpicky Star Wars fan. But when Pip, the light goes on and like all the moths or whatever, like attract and attack him, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about those things. And then I thought two things. One, why didn't any of those moths attack when the 800 lightsabers are just flinging around? And the other thing was, oh yeah, I forgot that this is the most dangerous woods that bounty hunters don't even go to. Yet everyone was just walking around fine. The only problem was the one Sith Lord. Nothing else presented danger. So I was like, and then I'm like, just swallow the hate. Don't say anything. But I just had to let those be known. In case anyone accuses us of sucking too much Acolyte dick, those were very fair criticisms that I had in my mind during.
So not to unsuck, but I think, unless I'm misremembering, like when Yord and Osha go to the forest, and like the moment when they turn to go back, you remember she like holds up the light and she's like, "We got to go back, run, and like I think she led them back to where they were. I think they weren't there.
Oh,
but
you might be right about that.
They led the moths back to them. I think
it'll at least be my headcanon now. I'll just be like, all right, that's what she did. But you're right, because she does turn the light on specifically and say, "Run."
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think so. Not to unstuck again, but
again, the lightsaber, like if this is the darkest forest of all time, and then all of a sudden all these lightsabers go off, maybe some Umber Moths could have been in that lightsaber fight. But yeah, it is what it is. It also seems like later on they might have like ran out of CGI for the Umber Moths, because there's a quick shot of them grabbing Kamir, and then like you just hear it. Like it's like you see it, and then you see Soul's reaction to it. He's like, "Oh, there he goes."
If they were like, listen, like, because this planet is honestly one of the safer planets I think we visited in the Star Wars universe when it's all said and done. And it's weird that bounty hunters, if they're like bounty hunters won't go there because those malls are fucking gross, completely understand. They look disgusting.
Yeah, bounty hunters don't like bugs.
Exactly, bounty hunters, they'll kill you for a fucking coin, but they do not fuck with bugs, and I completely understand that.
Is this the same forest? Do you remember, Robbie? There was an episode of I think it was Clone Wars, where Ahsoka gets trapped with a bunch of Padawans in a forest, and they get hunted by like a Bosk and like a bunch of those species.
Oh yeah,
is this that forest? I'm sure it's been.
I don't think it is. It could be, but I don't think it is.
And they're on like
I was under the impression they created Kofar for the Acolyte.
Gotcha. That was by the way, they did like a full Dangerous Game episode. Clem, it was sick. Yeah, that was a great episode of.
Oh shit. Nice.
And bringing Bosk in was cool, like a young Bosk, like it's a cheap fan service, whatever. But I like that shit in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I mean they have like all those guys, like the Boba Fett's like young Boba Fett's crew.
Boba Fett's first like mission.
What's his name? Dangar, a couple other guys. Yeah. Yep. You'd like it, Clem. You should get into Clone Wars one of these days.
The thing is, if my kids ever do, that's when I'll get into it, is with them for sure.
Yeah, gotcha.
Sure. This is the old Bad Batch crew. We used to recap season 1 of the Bad Batch, and our group chat, when I went to text it this morning, it's still titled The Bad Bitches.
That's right. Yeah.
Which thumbs up for the final season and everything, KenJac?
Yeah. Very good. Very good. I thought the second season, was okay. It was never like bad, but the second season never really hooked me till the end. Like second season finale on, great stuff.
Really good stuff. Yeah.
Like the way they set up the sequels, Project Necromancer, all that shit. Palpatine looking for force sensitive blood, and then them. It kind of like even gave an out for like maybe this is why the Sith army was created, to do this in darkness, while the First Order was a bit of a distraction. But we don't have to get into all that.
Yeah.
May shoots Soul with a stun gun right as Osha is about to ask what Kamir was talking about. She's like, what was Kamir talking about with the fucking darkness? You hiding stuff. Shot with his stun gun. And then May and Osha finally have it out. May's convinced the Jedi just turned Osha against her. She's like, please choose me next time. Choose us. Choose love. I love you. We've survived this. We're each other's whatever. Osha's still like, fuck you. I'm arresting you. This is what I came here to do. I'm with the Jedi. As she goes to do that, she gets force pushed down the hall. And she's like, yeah, you were never good at blocking. The art of blocking the force interests me as a MMA fan. I'm like, how is that like striking defense? Like your striking defense is good, it's bad. I don't know, but she gets pushed down the hall, and then we see the first ever lightsaber haircut. May slices her or the rest of her hair off with the lightsaber, teases the old Parent Trap, and then it's confirmed later on. There was a quick scene where when she does the Parent Trap, she dresses up as Osha and she's with Soul. They walk past two aliens playing a board game, and they get mad and like swipe the pieces away. The board kind of looked like Djarik. So I'm wondering, is this Djarik before they got the hologram technology? Because A New Hope is like 100 years later. It would be kind of interesting if that was an early rudimentary version of Djarik. And the episode ends with Kamir. He's able to get himself down. Basil was still kind of tracking him, found Pip, and follows Osha, May, onto the ship. And we just see Kamir grabs his helmet. He finds the real Osha in the forest. Or is it the real Osha? Yeah, the real Osha in the forest. And yeah, we got a Parent Trap situation on our hands. Does he know, though? I think he knows that that's not May, right?
I think both of them kind of did. in a way. Like Soul definitely looked a little like, you know what I mean?
He looked a little confused, but I think Soul's buying it for now.
He's also just got his ass like beat. You know what I mean?
He might have CTE, concussion.
True. Yeah.
He just met a Sith for the first time. Little twisted, little fucked up. One, I feel like if you burn your own hair, that lingers. That smell.
That smell. Honest, that's right? A smell that lingers for sure.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. No doubt.
And then I read this. I think it was on the Reddit. And I don't know if this definitely checks out because again, it's he can't sense that she's the different twin, even though the other one was like his Padawan or whatever you want to say. He apparently calls the twins by their name the entire series, and then when he's talking to her at the end, he goes, "Your sister." So that could show because he probably is like, because I'll be honest, boys. I'm fucking up these names. Eric and Eric fucked me up in Dragons on Sunday, and I'm fucked up with OSHA. I'm like, I'm pretty sure OSHA's the good one because real life OSHA is about health and safety and this and that. That's how I remember it. And then I forget May's name altogether, and then I'm like, not OSHA. So I think he just said sister to kind of like where he can talk to her, and it's not like he's looking like a fool. So there is a chance he knows. And again, I'm a fucking soldier. Soul knows what he's doing.
Soldiers.
I think I texted that to you guys after watching the first four eps, the screeners. I was like, this for her name being OSHA, there's a stunning amount of workplace accidents that happen.
The galaxy infamous for the lack of handrails.
Yeah. I think the one
and also
big thing,
like you could say he didn't know it was his sister, but like Darth Vader also didn't know Leia was his fucking daughter when he's asking for their plans on A New Hope.
Her.
He's the chosen one. Like, come on, guys. Like, pick and choose your battles. If you're going to criticize stuff about the show, like KenJac said, criticize the writing in the first couple episodes. Criticize the fact that they spent $180 million on it, and there's scenes that look like it belongs on the Sci-Fi Channel or CW. Like, those are very valid criticisms, I think. To be like the fucking Wikipedia gate and Ki-Adi-Mundi's birthday, and there's fire in space. There's fucking fire in space in Empire too for a quick scene. Like, George Lucas doesn't care about physics like that. He talks about the Millennium Falcon drifts around corners like a fucking car. The physics don't matter in Star Wars. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's like your leg just got chopped off and you're bitching about a hangnail on your arm finger. You know what I mean? It's like you gotta don't focus.
There's sound in space too in Star Wars. Like, is that a criticism now? Is it because that's not how physics and science
from
work?
The goddamn Jango Fett's thing in the middle of space. Like, this is what this world is, man. I think the one question I had after the ending of this episode, though, and I wonder what you guys think. Do you think that May and OSHA don't only just switch their regular place, but also like their emotional state? Because May clearly wanted to surrender, right? So does she go back to the Jedi and now kind of take the place as like the good twin? And since OSHA clearly wanted to learn more about what actually happened to her family, does she now go with Kamir and become the bad twin?
There's a chance that happens, I think. And we talked about this last week. We said in wrestling terms, the double turn. The good old Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, WrestleMania 13. By the end of it, you're like, oh my God, Stone Cold was the bad guy coming in, but how could you not root for that guy now? May achieve those levels. She may pass out in the sharpshooter with blood on her face, and we may be like, oh my God, she's the fucking one. If they swapped, I'm curious to know if it would be a known thing, or would May want to like almost carry on OSHA's legacy in a good guy sense, where she like assumes her identity in a way. I don't know.
I like that there is on the table, and I am interested. There's like the murder mystery still out there, which I'm interested to see, and I'm interested to see the way that this turns out. So it's like, I give them credit for a show that is, I mean, absolutely just getting lambasted, like we said, and has had its low points. I'm happy that there is still stuff that I care about, even after like an awesome lights. Like I think we might get another lightsaber fight, but I don't think we're going to get to that level. Honestly, not even the lightsaber fight, just the force fighting was awesome, and that's something I've been wanting more of, and I'm happy we got it this series.
Big upgrade versus, I think, the Ahsoka force fights with Ezra, I thought looked pretty lame. And
some
I think
of them were,
where it's just like he walks up and goes like, and like, slightly get pushed back. I think they looked way better in this for sure. That was also, I think, a big upgrade. I think this was like a very, this series so far, you have 4 kind of meh, or I would say 3 pretty meh episodes, 1 bad one, and then this has just been like a big highlight. This is one, like, if you're just looking at pure episodes of Star Wars content, this is like one of the better ones you'll watch. It's amazing. And to me,
it brings it up a lot too.
for sure on a whole brings up the average of the class a lot. This is the guy you want in your class for absolutely for a weighted average. But he I think that there's just like a sort of different feeling to it now, because like I kind of was in the camp that this is like, hey, this is all YA, this is like very young adult, but this is not have that feeling really anymore.
This episode, this episode kind of felt like it was just more normal Star Wars, and I say normal in that, like, yes, kids could probably still watch it, but this episode would be a little scary for kids. I think a lot of death, snapping necks. That's a pretty graphic visual.
Yeah,
gun to the head.
And rewatchability too. This is, I don't know if I'd rewatch the episode, but like I probably would check out that fight on YouTube at some point and be like, oh, let me just get like a little 2-minute refresher on that. It's like, oh shit, that was pretty fucking sweet.
The shanking, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
I'll make like a repeating supercut of your dying for you too.
Thank you. I'm really uploading the ASMR of him dying as we speak.
Like mirror that, have it set to a beat.
Yep.
Do you think there's a chance that this guy could be Kamir, that is a Pelagisaur's master? In my brain, it can't be Pelagius because he's a different species, right? He's just an entirely different creature. In the timeline,
he's got a weird head.
Yeah. And the guy that was, and I looked it up before, the guy that was Pelagius's master, like Teneborus or something, like he's the species of the fucking Cantina band. He's the butthead.
Oh shit!
Species,
yeah.
By the way, not very intimidating. The butthead guy.
No.
So I don't know where he lands in this. The whole thing is there can only be two,
some
right?
of that.
Yeah.
There can only be two, but also with them teasing, the birth without a father, like the weird unnatural birth. They specifically say like he had learned that power in Revenge of the Sith. Have you ever heard the legend of Darth Plagueis the Wise? He learned that power from someone else. That's another thing people thought was canon breaking. They were like, oh my God, so you're telling me Anakin wasn't the first? It's like, they never said he was the first. They said he learned the power from someone. So they kind of explicitly said he wasn't the first. And I'm not even saying May and Osha were the first. There could have been people before them. They could have been working out the kinks. They could have been, whipping up some babies that did not look normal. This, I think, could be a backdoor way of doing the Plagueis backstory in canon. I almost don't want it to be that already, because I know how much people will hate it. And even if they do it well, because it's in the Acolyte, they'll be like, oh my God, you shit on George Lucas, blah, blah, blah. I almost don't want it just for the discourse, which is bad that we're living in that world where it's like, if Twitter didn't exist, I don't think I am opposed to that at all. I think I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Mm-hmm. I think you almost even to counter my own point too. It's not like there would be say there can only be two, but there is multiple examples of there being way more than two. Even in like we were just talking about with Clone Wars, like what's his name? Savage Opress was Darth Maul's what do you call it? Apprentice. Darth Maul was Dooku's apprentice. Dooku was at that point Darth Sidious's apprentice. There was 4 Sith going at that point.
And it's like like even in Revenge of the Sith, by the time Dooku is killed, Anakin is basically Palpatine's like shadow apprentice. He doesn't realize it yet, but like there's muddy stuff working with the Sith. They're always cheating the rules.
It's
like what's his name in Ahsoka too? What's his name? And the most it's who's the bad guys? Not Bane. I'm gonna keep wanting to say Bane. It's not. Who's the orange lightsaber?
He was so good. Balon
Ray
Skull.
Stevenson. Yeah, Skull. Like those guys are all kind of Sithy too. I mean, you got even Jedi Survivor. All those.
They're like, but they use orange lightsabers, so there isn't just 2 of them. It's like, okay, they will excuse that because it's Filoni, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and people also don't like Filoni gives notes and approves every script for this show. People like don't realize that when they blame Kathleen Kennedy. I love Filoni. Whatever you don't like him on this show is, I would assume, a lot more on Filoni than it is Kathleen Kennedy. I don't think she's making creative decisions.
If you're looking up to like the ladder of direct responsibility, yeah, for sure.
I got 2 sports analogies for you guys. First, because KenJac mentioned this earlier with the offensive line, where if it sucks, you just hear about it, but if it's awesome, you don't. Kathleen Kennedy is basically, Giants and Chargers fans, all we know is bad offensive lines, right? And we had like 2 good ones, and they were like probably the most magical seasons of our lives. DJ Fluker, I feel like was one of like the nightmares for you back in the day. Is that fair?
So bad. He ended up with you guys too. Yeah.
And then we had Eric Flowers, right? That's Kathleen Kennedy, where it's like, you know her, you hate her, and she's the reason for everything being wrong. Well, let's be honest, there's a lot of other holes in those lines when looking back at the roster from that day.
We don't even know what she does. Like, the one thing I think is fair to criticize her for is the fact that, like, they've announced 20 movies over the last couple of years and 2 of them have gotten made and directors drop out. Like, that seems like something that may fall under her responsibility. The creative stuff, I'm like, I don't think she's making fucking
like a day in the life video,
like,
you know what I mean?
He should have a green lightsaber, you know? Like, I don't think Kathleen Kennedy's that person.
She did get an entire South Park special focused around her, which is pretty impressive for something that we don't know what people does. But I'm not going to defend Kathleen Kennedy for sure, because I don't know what she does on the other side of things. And then in terms of the Sith, it's kind of like a baseball team in my mind. You could, like, you have a 25-man roster in the majors. That's like, they have a 2-man roster in the majors that are like the dudes. And then you have the minors. And it's like, you have fucking Anakin walking around, not even knowing he's being groomed. You have these fucking dudes with orange lightsabers. It's
don't
like,
put Anakin near the minors at all. That's usually a bad mix.
Yeah, very bad.
Good point. Yeah, no, they have a huge minor system too. It's like all the people like Kamir, where it's like, even if you were even slightly like angry at the Jedi at one point, you're being considered, and you don't have to know you're being considered, but you're on the draft board.
Yeah, the draft board of like Sith guys, just like they're people who are like, hey, this guy, he's force sensitive, he's a little angry. I saw him cursing at his video game system the other day. Is it potential? You can put him at first base.
May, when she was like a little baby. Like, she got a little upset that her sister was like better at the test, and they were like, skyrocket her up the draft board. She's getting real angry. Put some flames in her hand, and we are good to go.
This guy has a kimono of spice that was found last week. We're putting him back down like Laramie Tunsil. On the draft board.
That was the Acolyte episode 5. How many episodes are there total? I know we looked this up at some point. Is it 8 or 10?
I want to say there's 8. I think there's
8. Yeah, I think there's 8. Which I'm very happy about.
Yeah, it feels like it's rounding a corner here, and that we are, in the home stretch. So 8 would feel good. 10 would feel like a bit much. Good.
I went to I just put an Acolyte, and the 2 Google autocompletes were episode 5 and canceled. July, so 8 episodes. July 16th is the finale.
Cool.
And by the way, so this episode, this is the top rated one we've had so far this is at IMDb. I'm not even on Rotten Tomatoes.
Has to be
6.6 out of 10, which feels a little low considering. But everything else, that's the one that everyone hated was 3.4. That's the lowest of the sticks. So
that seems high, not for my own personal taste, but I would imagine the episode 3 I would think is like a 0.9 or like something crazy like that. This episode, I would say, for my own personal taste, I would say this was like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, within the Star Wars world, very high.
Am I crazy? I would say like 7.5 to 8 out of 10.
Acolyte scale, it's an 8. But like real Star Wars, I'd say 7.1.
Like if Mando's season 2 finale is a 10, where Luke shows up at the end, this is probably realistically like a 7 max.
Yeah,
but on the actual chunk of Boba Fett, right? It's better than the non-Mando Boba Fett's.
It might be better than every episode, every non-Mando episode of Boba Fett. This singular episode.
I would have to rewatch some of the Boba Fett. I liked when he rode the Rancor at the end. I'm not gonna lie.
That was cool.
I liked that. No, I liked when he rode the Rancor, and I liked when he killed the people at Tashi Station. That was fucking sick. But again, like Boba Fett, I liked
Scooter Gang.
Yeah.
I liked moments in Boba Fett more than I liked episodes.
Yeah.
Agreed. What about
the moment where he drops the seismic charge in the fucking Sarlacc pit?
Yeah.
Badass. That was awesome. Obi-Wan, this is better than a couple Obi-Wan episodes for sure.
Most Obi-Wans. Even the good Obi-Wan shit, like, kind of just fucked up the, like, again, you're getting Vader and Obi-Wan. It's like, it just seemed like.
I know. I thought about that the other day. Like, in another show, I would describe the exact same way as Boba Fett. I liked moments more than episodes. And, like, the moment where Vader like was snapping necks and shit and awesome. Walking through the town, awesome. The moment where Vader is face to face with Obi-Wan and he lights the ground on fire and he just slowly drags Obi-Wan through the fire, but then leaves him there. That was so lame. Why'd they do that? Like, someone posted that on Twitter the other day and they were like, this is one of the best Vader moments. We've never seen him so angry and vicious. It's like, I think if he was that angry, he would kill the guy instead of letting him live. Like, I just didn't like that scene at all.
Also, like the soundtrack being like Danny Elfman didn't help, which is crazy.
The soundtrack was weird.
Like, yeah, insane. Do you guys think, by the way, the Sith are getting too sexy? Because I feel like the Sith that we knew and loved growing up, ugly, gross, old dudes. And now, since then, we've had Anakin, young Anakin, sexy dude. We've had Kylo Ren, sexy dude. Now we have Kamir, sexy dude. Even like most of the other apprentices we had, like Asajj Ventress, pretty sexy. And like all the other ones, they're getting too hot.
I mean, even like Balon Skull was kind of a silver fox, and his apprentice. I mean, wow.
Don't get me started on Shin Hati, Robbie Fox. We'll be here all day.
So like,
I let Darth Maul take a war with me. Parker got it going on.
Did you see the video of Shin Hati like ripping the cigarette while driving around like the mini little thing on the?
Oh yeah, on the land speeder.
Oh my god,
she just got cast in something.
Yeah,
I forget what, but she just got cast in something big, I believe.
Yeah,
Ivana. Her name's Ivana Shanky or something.
Ivana Shanko.
Ivana Shankar, like Tupac.
He's going to co-star Allison Williams in Atomic Monster. And Blumhouse's Megan. She's going to be in the new Megan movie. Okay, cool.
Megan, that's what I thought she was cast in.
We talking girls getting her ass eaten out? Megan Williams? Allison Williams?
Exactly.
Oh, doctor.
Yep.
I bought a lot of stock in her like a decade ago.
Former Robbie Fox fan, actually.
Former.
I don't know if she keeps up with the content, but she screenshotted a blog I wrote about Get Out, and she posted it on Instagram.
Ah, cool. Nice.
Because that fucking critic, remember that critic that goes against what everyone says?
Oh, Armand
White?
Yeah.
Armand White, he was the first one to give it a bad review and ruin the 100%. So I wrote a review kind of like, I think it was like 2017, 2018, letting people know, if you don't know Armand White, like here's his history. You know, he likes every movie that people hate and he dislikes every movie that people love. So she screenshotted it and was like, I was waiting for Armand White to do this. Like she knew.
Yeah. That's his thing. His whole thing is playing spoiler.
It's crazy. I feel like her career goes in a much better way if her dad doesn't get caught lying, right? Brian Williams got caught with like making.
That's Brian Williams' daughter?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I did not know that. Holy shit. He's the helicopter crash guy or helicopter attack guy, right? Brian Williams.
Correct.
Yeah. That was crazy. I forgot about that. That was like the biggest news story for like a year.
Huge.
I don't even think that lasts like 2 weeks on the news now. That's crazy.
Allison Williams is very good in Get Out, though. Very good.
Yeah, very good. Very, very good.
So creepy and scary. When he finds those pictures, like your heart fucking drops. You're like, oh my God, in the closet. Man, that makes me want to rewatch Get Out. Great movie.
Bob, get her on the podcast. Get her on the podcast.
I would totally interview her. That'd be great. I think she'd be a great interview. Oh, how about this? I could tease an interview. I can't say who it is, but I'm going to fucking tease an interview that's going to make people excited here. I have officially recorded an interview with a returning member of the X-Men cast in Deadpool and Wolverine. Can't put it out till the week of.
Nice.
A returning member of the X-Men will be on My Mom's Basement. Can't guess. Can't guess. I can't say who. Can't say who.
So we can't guess.
Can't guess. Can't
All
even
right.
look at my face.
I think this is going to be a very hot interview, if I had to guess.
Can't even look at my face. I can't confirm or deny.
Yeah.
Can't confirm or deny. We need a hashtag for this week, though.
I just go hashtag Allison Williams at this point. I'm good. As soon as this is over, I'm watching that scene from Girls. I'll tell you right now. And I stare at that gift for like 20 seconds. I'm like, holy shit. Bonk me.
Oh, by the way, I forgot you had posted on that when you were on that bracket last week, the Gavin Rossdale interview. I constantly forget that he's in fucking Constantine. You know what I mean?
My second interview with him, I asked him about that, and he like loved being in Constantine. He said he heard that they were doing a sequel, which got like rumored, kind of announced, I think. And he was like, "Oh yeah," he emailed them and said, "I want back in," but he didn't hear back. So he's like, "I don't think they want me back in."
Every line he had was good except for the finger licking good line. I remember specifically being
he said that on the podcast. He said he was trying to be Hannibal Lecter. He said everything about him, he was just trying to be Hannibal Lecter. All right.
That makes sense.
That was the Acolyte episode 5. It was good stuff. Hopefully the internet streets are not filled with scum and villainy like they were the past couple weeks. I hope this brings at least some of us back together here. And we will see you on Sunday night for House of the Dragon.